Another Russian war crime in Ukraine. This time, the target was the people of Kryvyi Rih. 4 people were killed last night. The highest price is being paid by ordinary people, which is why U.S. President Donald Trump is proposing a truce.
It's time to stop this madness.
After a failure of diplomacy at the Oval Office and a vague arrangement with left-wing European politicians, the Ukrainian president now understands his mistake. He is now ready to sign an agreement with America, because only America can stop Putin. The European Union would very much like to show its strength and efficiency, but for 3 years, none of these left-wing leaders have done anything to bring Ukraine closer to peace. Instead, they pump out messages, like this one from French President Emmanuel Macron, which feed anti-American sentiment.
Je veux croire que les États-Unis resteront à nos côtés.
I would like to believe that the Americans will stand shoulder to shoulder with us, but I want to be ready for a different scenario. Peace in Ukraine may not come soon, and European countries must be ready to defend themselves against possible Russian aggression. One could take these words seriously if it were not for the fact that Paris and Berlin have been fueling the Russian war machine for years, making the very Europe Macron is talking about dependent on Russian resources and Kremlin influence, all while simultaneously dismantling their own armies. This is, of course, the result of years of neglect by the same people who today tell us that they will solve these problems. For example, Ms. von der Leyen was Germany's defense minister, and today, as president of the European Commission, she lectures others on the fact that Europe should be stronger militarily. It's quite funny. What isn't funny is that these very people are determining European security today, and the coalition currently in power in Poland unthinkingly carries out the orders of Brussels and Berlin. I very much regret that the current ruling coalition is utterly clueless when it comes to arms policy issues, because those currently in power do not even conclude contracts that should have been concluded long ago, such as for the new Borsuk floating infantry vehicle. 1,000 of these Borsuks were supposed to be delivered to the Polish army. They are good and reliable Polish vehicles, manufactured at the Stalowa Wola steelworks. But Donald Tusk's government will only order 116 such machines for the Polish military. This was supposed to be a flagship project carried out by Poland. It is very important for Poland to be the manufacturer of this kind of weapon. Projects are either shut down or reduced tenfold, as is the case with these really good modern machines. 10 times fewer purchases. This is madness. There were also supposed to be South Korean K2 tanks produced in Poland, but so far, the Ministry of Defense is only talking about it. There is also a lot of ambiguity around what equipment the Polish army even has, and what it is handing over to Ukraine. As recently as last November, the head of the Ministry of Defense, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, stipulated that Poland had already given Ukraine everything it could. The rest of the equipment is only for Polish security. Now, there are reports that the government has given Kyiv up to 60 modernized T-72 tanks. I would very much like to believe that Mr. Kosiniak-Kamysz has it all calculated, that he knows what the equipment resources of the Polish army are, and does not change his mind depending on how the wind blows. It is worrying that, some time ago, he said that we did not have these donation possibilities for Ukraine. Apparently, now we do. It is good that they have been found, but only if they are not at the expense of Polish security. What is worse, the ongoing Polish presidency in the EU Council under the leadership of Donald Tusk does not ensure that the countries of the eastern flank are protected with defense funding. Billions of euros from the common EU coffers will flow mainly to Germany and France. Why should those who have contributed the most, like Poland, proportionally like Lithuania, like the Czech Republic, Romania, why should we now have a worse position than the rich countries of Western Europe? Tusk should set the rules of this rearming fund so that the expenses that have already been incurred can be covered. Especially as the threat is growing. The commander of the Finnish naval forces warns about increased Russian ship traffic in the Baltic and possible further provocations by the Kremlin.